presentation is an interpretation based on Sartre's critique of dialectical reason. The Bolsheviks, USSR and the Russian Federation have over 100 years of practice and experience with political agitation worldwide and recently directed this agitation towards the United States. The process begins by evaluating the political left and the political right in any given country. The next step is what Sartre called totalization, which means the development of near-total political awareness in the target country. This awareness arises from the observations of the participating people on the left and on the right and how they engage in enabling and codependent behavior towards each other. When the left engages in an activity that affects the right will engage in activity that affects the left. The banter between Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump, the political interplay between Schumer and McConnell, and the strategies employed between the DNC and the RNC against each other are examples of a continuing and ongoing enabling codependency cycle. The dehumanizing process begins when each side identifies its antagonistic partner as the other and as evil. Each side throws negations at the other side and attempts to discredit and disprove its claims. Then the total interaction of each allows for the manipulation of both from outside by Russian agitators. This Russian method of totalization allows a near-complete comprehension of all the interactions at play. Once this totalization is realized, mostly hidden and anonymous, external agitation begins. Propaganda, fake news, disinformation, fake events and illegitimatized news all add to the confusion and chaos of the political process. The Russians, when elucidating United States political workings, specifically created the Internet Research Agency as a cover organization. The IRA had tens of millions of followers, with $100,000 media buys, augmented by 470 Facebook and 3,114 Twitter accounts. This incursion into U.S. politics primarily occurred on social media, which allowed a high degree of anonymity. The participants on the left and the right were hunkered down and taking on each other's antagonistic partner, completely unaware of the outside agitating forces affecting them. The historical perspective is important to consider at this point. Towards the end of the Russian Revolution, the Bolsheviks used totalization to exhaust rival parties to the point of exhaustion and capitulation. By spreading hidden confusion and playing one faction off against the other and defeating them all without exerting a lot of effort themselves, they established the USSR. The USSR used the same tactics to overcome each and every communist uprising in Europe. In the late teens and early 20s of the 20th century, after sowing chaos, the USSR took over the communist movement in Europe and in other significant areas around the world. They took the relevant ideology and ideas from each side, made them their own, owned it, declared victory, and took control. Using totalization of political awareness, the Russian Federation through hidden external agitation spread confusion and chaos into the American election process. American politics was completely unprepared and played by the Russians. The advent of social media, primarily Facebook, Twitter and YouTube, was a perfect Russian storm to gain control over American discourse. This guaranteed almost complete anonymity of their external agitation. The Internet Research Agency flourished with propaganda, fake news and disinformation. The Russian awareness of the American political system targeted and amplified weaknesses to the detriment of meaningful U.S. political debate. After their national campaign of successful disruption of the left and right, the Russians geared their propaganda towards the right with obvious successful results. Sartre also writes about the totalization of envelopment. This simply means that the U.S. can learn, absorb and envelop experience from the Russians and find actionable knowledge to rise above such intrusions in the future. Time will tell if it elects to do so.